This is your host Farhan Iqbal and you're watching Newspoint. As I mentioned, that this has already happened that Canadian citizens and permanent residents who are fully vaccinated, they had already been allowed to come into Canada and they did not require to stay in a 3-day hotel, which was mandatory for all other people. That restriction was removed in July. Before that, even people who were citizens of Canada and who were PRs, even they had to stay mandatory 3-day stay at hotel paid by their own pocket. That was costing a lot of money. That restriction was removed in July for only Canadian citizens and permanent residents. Now, for the first time since the program was introduced, they have announced that after August 9th, that anybody coming to Canada, they will not require to stay 3 days in the hotel. This was a major restriction, or this was something which was actually stopping people from traveling. That now they have lifted this ban, that people who are coming to Canada, even if they require the quarantine, they will be quarantining at their own place, at their own house, or wherever. They will not need to pay about $2,000 to the hotel. For the very first time, the Canada and US border is going to open. Like, border was always open, but it was closed for non-discretionary travel. So, for example, if you were just going for leisure, or if you were just going to meet some of your relatives without any reason, you could not do that. But after August 9, anybody who is a US citizen or who is a US green card holder, they can come to Canada even just to meet their relatives, just for the leisure, just for the sake of tourism. So this is for the very first time since the beginning of the COVID. Even the last year when the FSW draws were happening, even at that time, Canada and US border was not open for non-discretionary travel. So this is happening after about 17 to 18 months, that after August 9, Canadian citizens and green card holders, they would be able to come to Canada if they're fully vaccinated. In addition to this, they have already announced that the intended start date for international travelers to come into Canada for discretionary travel is going to be September 7. This is an intended date. This could change. So after September 7, anybody who has a Canadian visa or anybody who has a passport from a country which does not require visa to come to Canada, they would be able to come to Canada if they are fully vaccinated. In addition to this, the flight ban from India and certain countries which was in place, that is also going to be reviewed again on August 21st. I have been mentioning in the past as well that border restrictions, once the border restrictions are open, then the chances of FSW draws would increase significantly. So now this has happened. So I'm very confident that the 70 to 80% chance that the next draw would be an FSW draw. So having said that, let's take a look at the data and see how many people are there in each category. And based on that, we will try to come up with a number which could be the cutoff for the next expected draw. So this is our master data sheet where I have the information from all the way whenever I started recording videos. That was probably about a year ago. I have hidden their data so that I show only the data which fits on the screen. So this is the information from the very last draw. The data was published on 19 July. Then the PNP draw happened on 21st July, and then the CEC draw happened on 22nd July. Cutoff was 357 in the last draw. In the last 3 draws, cutoff has been hanging around 357, 369, and again 357. The reason being that in these 3 draws, they actually reduced the number of invitations which have been issued actually in these 2 draws. So that is why it did not actually went down below 350. Otherwise, if they had continued like more than 6,000 ITAs, which was happening in these 3-4 draws, then we would have seen a CRS score lower than 350 for the CEC only people. Anyways, let's take a look at the data in other ranges and see how many people are there as of 19 July. So 601 to 1200, which is the PNP category, there were 478 people when the data was published on 19 July. However, all of those people who had more than 600 points, they would have received their ITAs on 21st July when the PNP draw happened. After that, in 501 to 600, which is actually the category of CC and FSW people, over here, since the draw has not happened for over 6 months now for FSW people who are not in CEC category, so this number has now blown to 2269, an increase of 65 people over the last 2 weekends. Some of the people over here, like out of these 65, maybe are CEC people, and they would have also received their ITA. So actually, whatever number we are seeing over here after the 22nd July, this would be a little less than actually this number, but it would be something very close to this because we have been seeing from the past that this is just increasing, and increase is obviously because of those number of people who are in FSW category who are not in CEC. They are just adding up and not getting out. Then 491 to 500, there are 1335, only an increase of 5 people. 481 to 490, there are 3828 people, an increase of 162. So if we look holistically, 481 to 600, there are about 7500 people as of 19 July. We can assume maybe like 300-400 people would have received their ITS, they were CEC if we suppose. Then still we have maybe, I think, more than 7200 or 7100 people who are in FSW category only. And if the next draw happens to be FSW, then obviously if the 6000 ITS are issued, then the cutoff would be somewhere above 481. I'm hoping that it would be close to 485 if 6000 ITS are issued. If more ITS are issued, then it actually could come down. But that again, we have to see that if the next draw is FSW draw or if again it happens to be PNP CEC. Now the chances of FSW draw are higher than ever before, but we can not see anything with certainty. 471 to 480, there are 10,372 people, an increase of 421 people. So what I have been noticing is that the most increase is happening in this 471 to 480. The increase in like 481 or in higher category is very minuscule. So if we look from 471 to 600, now there are close to 18,000 people. And over here I have been seeing the increase which is happening in 471 to 600 people in the 2 weeks. Usually this number is close to 600, but sometimes once a month or once in every now and then, this actually goes above 1000 as well. But 471 to 600, the new people who are applying, it is close to 600, 700, 800. So that is why I have been mentioning that once the draws resume and FSW draws happen without interruption, I understand then this number would increase a little bit, like more people will start creating their profiles. However, I really do not think that now this would number, that is the number of people creating their profiles above 471 in every 2 weeks, would ever go to close to what the number of ITS are being issued. Number of ITS being issued in every 2 weeks would probably be 6,000 or more for a foreseeable future. And if 2,000 or 3,000 people are creating their profiles, then eventually the CRS score would come down very quickly. So my forecast that if the next draw is FSW, then the cutoff would be close to 485 if 6,000 ITS are issued, and if 10,000 ITS are issued, which is a little less likely, then the cutoff would be, I believe, close to 478 or something like that. More chances in my forecast is that 70 to 80% chance that it would be an FSW draw and 6,000 ITS would be issued and the cutoff would be close to 485. If the next draw again happens to be a CC only draw, then it depends how many ITS are issued. If the number of ITS being issued stays close to 4,500 only, then I think the cutoff would be close to 350 itself. However, if the number of ITS goes back to what we had seen in the past, 6,000, 6,500, then the cutoff would go below 350. That's what I believe. So in summary, I'm very confident that the next draw would be an FSW draw. If the FSW draw is going to happen and they invite about 6,000 people, then the cutoff would be 485 or something, maybe even higher than that, but that's not bad news. Once the FSW draws would resume, as I have been mentioning, that the number of people who are applying is not increasing significantly. Could be because many people were seeing that the draws are not happening, so they were not very keen to apply. However, since last year, the number of ITS being issued have increased significantly. So I'm pretty confident that once the draws resume, and if they keep on happening without interruptions, then the cutoff would drop significantly. Anyways, that's a topic for the next video. Once the FSW draws resume, I will update my forecast for the whole year, that what kind of cutoff I am expecting towards the end of the year. If you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. Until next time, this is your host Farhan, Iqbal signing off. Assalamu alaikum.